Okay guys, we're back on the 2003 Mustang GT. Pulling the transmission out of it. The input shaft seal has been leaking for a long time, but I've already got a lot of it taken apart, so I'll walk you through the steps you need to go through to get it out, and some of the tools you're going to need. But first off, you need a 18 millimeter to turn the crankshaft with to get the torque converter bolts out, and you need a 14 millimeter to get the 4 torque converter nuts out. Let's see if you can see it right there. And then to take the rear drive shaft out, you need a 12.12 millimeter for your 4 bolts. And then for your exhaust flange to the mid pipe, it's a 15 millimeter. Gotta take them 4 bolts out. And then for your cable, that's a 13 millimeter. And then you have 3 starter bolts you gotta take out. The one on the top is a pain in the ass, but it'll come out. They're also a 13 millimeter for the starter. And let's see, where else are we at? Oh yeah, your bolts for the manifold. Those the nuts are a 17 millimeter. Get 2 over here and 2 over here. That's the first thing I done. Let's go ahead and get your exhaust out of the way, and then take your starter off, and then remove your dry shaft, and then start on your torque converter nuts. Take them off, and then your crossmember bolts. You got 2 right here, and then 2 right there. They're also going to be a 13 millimeter. And your Bellhousing bolts are also a 13 millimeter. And then for your 2 transmission lines, you need a 13 millimeter line wrench. Basically, this whole damn job requires a 13 millimeter, so you can do this job with basic hand tools. You don't need that much. You're also going to need some extensions, and a swivel that'll help get your Bellhousing bolts out, and your starter bolts. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna get started and start taking these torque converter bolts out. Get them up out of the way, and then we'll take our crossmember bolts out, drop our transmission down, and start taking our Bellhousing bolts out. After you get your torque converter nuts out, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this crossbar while I'm right here. It's a 15 millimeter. And you got one more right here. After you get that done, we'll go ahead and remove all the bell housing bolts that you can reach, and then we'll remove the top ones after we drop the transmission down. But it looks like we got, let's see if you guys can see this, we got one right here, one right here, and one right here. And then there's a couple more on top we'll have to get to after we drop the transmission down. And then there is one right here and one right there next to your dipstick tube. They're all 13 millimeters. We'll get those removed, and then take our lines off, and then we'll drop our transmission down, take our crossmember bolts out. After you get your Bellhousing bolts out and your line's loose, put a pan under it because there will be some fluid that'll come out. And then grab you a jack and support the transmission. Now that we have our transmission supported with our jack, we're going to remove our 4 crossmember bolts, and then I move my drain pan back here to the back because when you lower it down, transmission fluid is going to come out the tail shaft. So we're going to remove these 4 bolts and lower the transmission down, and then take the rest of the bell housing bolts out of the top and unplug our electrical connectors going to the transmission, and it's ready to set on the ground. Okay, now we got our cross member out, but it should have stayed in, but as you can see, the transmission mounts broke, so it came out when I took the bolts loose. The whole cross member did. But after you unplug your electrical connector on that side, that's the only one you got. You're gonna come over here and unplug this one. You just push the tab in, pull it straight back. I don't know how much you can see, but and here's your big one. You're gonna push the tab in, pull straight back. then that's it. Everything's unplugged. Now we still got, I believe, 2 more Bellhousing bolts on top. We're gonna go on the other side, reach up, and take them out, and then our transmission will be ready to set on the ground. Now I just got my 2 top Bellhousing bolts removed. I didn't record that because y'all couldn't really see anything. But what I done, I dropped the transmission down and got a real long extension with a swivel and came in from the back right here at the tail shaft and snaked it through up there to the top. Once you get it dropped down, you'll be able to see them back here, and that's the way I got them loose. That's the easiest way, really. It's still a pain in the ass, but they'll come out. Now it's just sitting in there. It's ready to be dropped down. There's nothing else holding it together. Just make sure you have all your wires up out of the way and your connectors and stuff unplugged. As you're lowering the transmission down, make sure nothing gets hung up on its way down. Just kind of keep an eye out. See how big of a mess you can make of transmission fluid over the floor. It seems like this shit goes everywhere. Might not be the best way to remove a transmission, but it'll work. It'll come out. I would highly recommend investing in a good transmission jack before doing this. It makes life a lot easier, especially going back in. But I needed to get this thing out tonight, so we got it out. right there's how you pull a transmission out of your Mustang GT. Should be the same for pretty much about all of them. Same kind of concept anyway. But I'm gonna tear it apart tomorrow. It's about 5 o'clock in the morning right now, so I'm gonna make another video on tearing it apart and seeing what all was wrong with it and fixing everything and putting it back in. But I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.